Scoodly doodly doo, it's time for another Welch review.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Welch Review. Today we are talking about a fine old movie called The Silencing. I don't know if it's actually old. When did it come out?
It came out actually in November.
Oh, okay. A fine new film called The Silencing.
You know, I think it was definitely a direct-to-DVD thing or on-demand, that type of deal. But, it's a really good film. It stars Jamie Lannister, right?
Yeah.
Nikolaj Coster-Waldau, and he plays a fella named Rayburn. Then you have Annabelle Wallis. For those of you who are Peaky Blinder fans, she played Tom's wife. She is Alice Gustafson in this. Then you have Zach McLaren as Blackhawk. He's very good. He plays Matthias in Longmire. Then you have Hero finds Tiffin as Brooks. No idea where he's from. Sean Smith as Dr. Boone. Jason Jazrari as Deputy Hansen. Brielle Robillard as Gwen. Melanie Scrofano as Debbie. Charlotte Lindsay Moran as Molly. Patrick Garrow as Jim Needles. Mark Charles Cowling as Roger Olson. Gregory Dominic Ojig as Sam Moonblood, Daniel Ryan as Dr. Patel, Tihara Tulak as Emma Johnson, Heather Stevenson as Patty, and this was written by Micah Ranum and directed by Robin Pront.
Yeah, so we got it's a very grounded film, right? Last one we talked about was X-Men. That's not very grounded. But this is a very grounded film. Basically, you have a father who was an alcoholic, and then his daughter goes missing, and she's been missing for years now. She went missing when she was like 13, 14.
Yeah, it was like, at least 4 or 5 years, right?
I think it was more than that.
Okay.
But anyways, she goes missing, and he used to be a hunter, like a really kind of brutal, but also well-known hunter in his area. His family owned land. So instead, he takes that land and turns it into a game preserve, or not a game preserve, sanctuary.
He names it after his daughter.
Names it after his daughter because she didn't like that he hunted. So he has all this land, names it after her, and then one day he finds this dude basically hunting people in his woods.
Oh yeah, the guy he's in a ghillie suit.
Yeah.
And, so then again, this kind of opens up the idea, like, okay, like, he hasn't given up hope that his daughter's,
alive.
He still thinks she's out there and alive, whereas, like, his wife has moved on and remarried. She's kind of come to terms with it. And then what else is going on in this town is it seems like every couple months or so, like, some young girl, right, is gone missing or is declared dead. So, like Sam's saying, he notices some guy in a ghillie suit moving around, and so he goes to investigate, like, what's going on my land. And as it turns out, he finds, a young girl who's running away from this guy.
Yeah. So, he's who he is. So he's like, are you my daughter? Have you seen my daughter? But anyway, so he goes looking for this girl. He gets shot with an atlatl.
Yeah,
he gets speared with an atlatl, which is like a prehistoric spear throwing device. Basically, it's like you have like a handle with a notch in the end, and you put a spear in it, and then you fling it, and it goes flying. Kind of like those dog toys where you put the ball in and you fling the ball.
Oh, okay.
It's like that, except with murder.
Fetch!
So he gets shot with an arrow, and then he has to dip, he has to go back, but he finds this dude's car and he marks it. It doesn't have any plates on it. So he goes back, he suits up, right? He gets ready for war, and then he goes back out to find this guy. And ultimately he winds up finding the girl, but that goes downhill in its own regard because that guy like tracks them back to his hut, his house, not a hut. He doesn't have a big house. You know what I mean? It's like
maybe like a trailer.
Yeah, back to his trailer and basically kills the girl and knocks out the dude.
Yeah. Which, of course, trips up, like, there's a whole other side plot, right, with Annabelle. So while Nikolaj Coster-Waldau is trying to find his daughter and is dealing with this stuff on his, in the sanctuary, right, with the, the atlatl hunter and, this girl he's hunting. On the flip side, right, you have the sheriff who's dealing with a re-election, right, and her brother, Brooks, who is kind of a mess, right, and we won't go into detail about that because it's something you'll pick up on in the movie should you watch it. So she's trying to repair their relationship, make sure he's on the right, and steady path. And now she gets wind of all these missing, some of these cold cases, right? So she's trying to help find Rayburn's daughter and some of the other missing girls. So he calls the police right when he got to the trailer about the girl, and then when the police show up, it shows the girl injured, and there's no sign of no, actually, I won't go into detail right there because that's a very good spot to pause.
Yeah,
that's a very good spot to pause, and you'll see what I mean. It's very well done, right? Like the fact, Sam mentioned, he marks the car, right? So when he sees it again, he'll be able to tell whose it is because he marked it, which is a very, very, very good, I thought, plot device. It was smart.
Yeah.
And it's a very well contained movie. There's a decent cast of characters, but it's very small scale and kind of in a way realistic, except maybe the atlatl thing.
Yeah. So I mean, not to give anything away, but basically what happens is our main character, who's Jamie Lannister.
He has both hands.
He does have both hands, but it starts to be focused on him trying to figure out what happened, and also being at odds with this police sheriff at the same time. And just kind of how he manages to either help discover, or figure out who done it. And that's where our story winds up going. And like you were saying, it's very well contained, very good cast, very small cast.
Yeah.
But everybody in it delivers on their role. Everybody's believable. The story points are pretty good. I think that if there's any one issue, it'd probably be the general oversimplification of Native American people in the story. There's only 2 natives who aren't drug dealers or crackheads. Besides that, every Native American is a drug dealer or crackhead.
They're definitely poorly portrayed.
Yeah.
But that, like anywhere, it does showcase not that, but the environments that they do showcase, right? Poor rural Midwestern towns, the crime element, right?
Yeah.
The back channels of it, that I felt was portrayed, kind of more realistic in a sense. How they're characterizing people, that's not right.
The other part that was kind of dumb in the movie was that the guy who hunts people, he hunts humans, and he puts his initials on the spear tips of every atlatl that he uses. His actual initials.
Yeah. Mind you, though, then there's another character who has those same initials.
Yeah.
So they spend some time looking for that guy, and you're like, well, that was easy. It's obviously that dude. And then they're like, the moment when they realize what the initials do stand for, right? Because they thought, SM, right? Sam Moonblood. And they're like, wait, that's, it's something totally different.
It's not Sam Moonblood.
It's not Sam Moonblood. That's a little weak. But, and his reasoning is also
kind of trash.
Kind of dumb, for why he does what he does. But, I mean, in real life, right, there have been way stupider and more horrific things that have been done. You know what I mean?
Reasons.
Yeah, the reasons don't add up, but what's happened is horrific. So, and unfortunately we live in a time period, right, or maybe it's always been, where it's dangerous out there for kids. It's always been dangerous for them. It's always been dangerous for women of any age, but especially, teenagers, young girls. And this movie definitely capitalizes on some of those fears.
Yeah.
You know, it's also like Nikolaj Coster-Waldau does a very good job, right? He doesn't just need a sword. I guess he's okay with a gun as well. But, you know, he plays a redemption arc very well.
Yeah, and actually, I mean, not to talk about Game of Thrones, but even Jamie's redemption arc in that was really solid. He went from being like, oh, Jamie's a gross incest monster, to being like, yo, Jamie's kind of cool. Get it? You know, like, hey, one-hand guy, I want you to succeed in life. So, yeah, I don't know. He's a great actor. I don't think that there's any disputing that. And this movie was generally well put together, save for a few hiccups here and there.
I'd also say, before we wrap up, Annabelle Wallis does a very good job as the sheriff.
She does.
Especially that dynamic that we touched on a little with her brother Brooks, right? Mending that relationship and trying to keep him safe while also balancing her duties as the sheriff, right? Like, how far will you go for your family type deal? And she does a very good job blending the lines of like, what am I going to do to make sure he's safe, and to also, you know, do my job properly, you know, and then still be able to sleep at night. And,
Yeah.
you know, so she does a very good job. I would also say that Zach McClarnon, I really hope big things happen with him. He is a really underrated actor. And, you know, I think that, you know, all screens, TV and film, they need more Native American actors in the forefront. And
Yeah.
he's just superb in everything I've seen him in. So
Doing great.
I hope Zach does more. But definitely pick up this film. I don't think it got the hype or the word of mouth it deserved. It's really, really good, especially if you're a fan of, like, backwoods or serial killers. It's a good thriller.
I hope that you're not a fan of serial killers, but maybe in movies.
Right. We don't condone that.
Yeah. Anyways, this has been the Welch Review. Signing off.
We'll see you next time.
See you then.